What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got news of 6 new starter decks which are coming around for the One Piece TCG, and this is frankly pretty big news. Some distributors have now started listing starter decks 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28 for pre-order. Now, we're going to get more into this in a minute, but we need to ask the question first of all, where's starter deck 22? Because we know the starter deck 21 is going to be Gear 5 Luffy. We got this lovely mock-up image from Nami Peace TCG, but this is not the official. This is a sample from Nami Peace TCG, although they're so good at doing this now that distributors and retailers and all are starting to use their proxies. It's not an official image, but it does well for our purposes. Nami Peace TCG, really nice people doing great work. But that's starter deck 21. The Gear 5 Luffy deck is starter deck 21. These are starter decks 23 to 28. Where is starter deck 22? No idea. No idea whatsoever. When I saw this was 23 onwards, I went, well, hang on a second, what about 22? And I went digging. And I'm pretty good at digging for One Piece TCG information. And I looked at distributor websites and retailer websites and people who cover the game like I do. And I looked everywhere I could. And I've not seen anything for starter deck 22. No listings, no rumors, nothing. So I don't know what's going on with starter deck 22. And I have to address this at the start of the video, because as soon as I start talking about starter deck 23... several of you watching are going to go, well, I remember him talking about starter deck 21, but where's starter deck 22? Don't know. Sorry. I have absolutely no idea. So if and when, when we get news as to what this is and what it entails, then yes, I will absolutely come along and give you all the information as and when we have it. Right now, starter deck 22, it's just missing. I wish I could give you a better explanation. But what about starter deck 23 to 28? Well, the good news is that the information we have on these is... what's a nice way to put this? Consistent. We have the same information about each of these 6 starter decks. We don't actually have much in terms of name. So we don't have a name with a color. We don't have a name with a leader or any of that. We just have a name. If we click on starter deck 23, for instance, it just says starter deck 23, and it's using a Charlotte Katakuri just kind of dimmed out there as very much a placeholder image. Obviously, that's starter deck 20 they're showing us there. That is not an image of the actual new Charlotte Katakuri deck. As far as we're aware, it isn't a new Charlotte Katakuri deck. But then we have a bunch of extra information about it. But it's basically the same information we've got for all of them. 6 colours of decks for beginners releasing at the same time. 6 colours of starter decks which are from previous series. Simple leader effects and colour characteristics make this an ideal product for newcomers. 5 cards with new text in each colour. Each deck contains 5 cards with new text. Add these 5 new cards to an existing battle style and evolve your strategy. 1 pack of OP11 included, and then the usual content of a 51 card deck including the leader, 10 Dawn, a play sheet, and a booster pack. Okay, cool. But this leads us with several questions. Firstly, 6 decks, 6 colours, and of course we've just, like this week, had the release of starter decks 15 to 20. So, we know what the deal is here. They have 1 deck for each colour. That's what we're getting here. But here's what's interesting. If we look at the description of starter deck 15 to 20, the most prominent leader from each of the 6 colours are back, each with their own new starter deck. No mucking about here. They are very clearly saying, we have taken the best leader in each colour, or the most prominent leader, and reprinted them. And as we talked about before, I think mostly that's correct. I do have questions about Smoker and about Uta. I don't think they're bad choices, but I think they maybe could have been better. But the other 4 they have absolutely nailed. Edward Newgate, well, I suppose you could take that out for Zorro, but I still think it's probably the best. And then, because it had to get banned for a while, it was so good. And then you got, Charlotte Katakuri, and you got Luffy, and Doflamingo. I mean, I agree here, frankly. I think they've chosen pretty well, except for the 2, which I think maybe could have been better. That's not what they're saying on this new description. 6 colours of starter decks which are from previous series. It's awkward phrasing. It doesn't specifically say that they're reprinting old leaders, but I think the previous series then makes it sound like they are again reprints. Simple leader effects and colour characteristics make this an ideal product for newcomers. Well, colour characteristics and simple together, I'm pretty sure just means monocolour leaders. They're giving us mono leaders, not dual leaders, that's fine. But simple leader effects and colour characteristics? I don't know, but I'm going to give you an example of what I think they mean here, and we are going to have to wait and see, okay? But I think I can predict one of the leaders that's coming here and explain what I mean. So, if we're looking at simple effects, that is pretty much the opposite of Don Quixote Doflamingo. So we go to OP01 and we look at Doflamingo and we go, well, hang on a second there. Look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a 7 Warlords of the Sea with a cost of 4 or less, you can play the card rested, and it's Don X2, and it costs 1. That is it's not the simplest effect we've ever seen. Now, obviously this did get reprinted in Starter Deck 17, but that's not a simple leader effect. Similarly, if we stick in OP01, I know it's a dual colour leader, so it's not coming anyway, but the Trafalgar Law, for instance, whereby once per turn you can pay 2, and if you've got 5 characters, return 1 to your hand, then play a character of a cost of 5 or less that's a different colour to the returned character. Lots of words, lots of things, a little bit awkward. Compare that to Roanoa Zorro. Roanoa Zorro reads, Don X1, all your characters get 1,000 power. That is a simple leader effect. So I cannot tell you for absolute certain, we don't know, but I'm just calling my shot right now, right at the beginning. I think we're getting Roanoa Zorro as the red leader in these decks. It was a decent choice for potentially having this time around as the best leader, but now we're going for simple effects. That to me seems like an absolute slam dunk. Emporio Ivankov. Now I'm less sure about this one because this is a leader we forgot about a while ago. But this is exactly the kind of thing I'm thinking here. I do think we're getting Zorro. That's a prediction, nothing more, but I feel good about it. Ivankov, I'm not so sure. But at the end of your turn, if you have 0 cards in hand, draw 2. That is a nice, simple, easy effect to make. If you look at cards like Law and Doflamingo, there's several different things going on. It's going to be a pain if you're brand new to card games. Whereas things like Roanoa Zorro and Emporio Ivankov, they are much simpler, easier leaders. That's my interpretation. We'll have to wait and see how it shakes out. But we also get 5 new cards in each deck, and that is exactly like we've got this time around. And actually, I mean, the best example here is the Doflamingo deck, because all of those cards have proven to be good. Literally all 5 new cards. Now, if we stick with Doflamingo as a nice little example here, we get the reprinted leader with new artwork. Side note, they were all done by Basai this time round, so could we see these new leaders all done with the same artwork? Maybe. We then get 2 super rares, which for the Doflamingo deck were Boa Hancock and Trafalgar Law. They are super rares, they've got that foiling and all of that. And then 3 common cards, which is your Crocodile, your Buggy, and your Marshall D. Teach. And like I say, all of these are currently seeing play in Doflamingo. So I can't tell you for definite now, but I would think it is incredibly likely that we'll be looking at 2 super rares and 3 common cards again in terms of the new cards, and then not reprinting any super rares. All the reprints will be kind of commons and uncommons. Maybe the odd promo card thrown in, because we did get that this time around. It seems like they are basically using Starter Deck 15 to 20 as a template, and I am totally okay with this. As for the pack of OP11, again, that makes perfect sense, because we had a pack of PRBO1 included in the Starter Decks 15 to 20. And actually, this tells us more about the Japanese decks than it does the English decks. It tells us that the Japanese decks are budget decks, 550 odd yen decks. Because 15 to 20 were budget decks in Japan, but we don't get budget decks. Over in Japan, they have your big fancy decks like Starter Deck 13, for instance, and then budget decks and then regular decks. Well, we do get the fancy, more expensive decks. We don't get budget decks over here. Budget starter decks. But Japan does, so it seems like the compromise that's been made here is essentially Bandai going, all right, well, when they're budget decks in Japan, we'll just whack a booster pack in and then we can sell them at regular price over here. I have absolutely no issue with this. I'm just pointing out what is blatantly happening. So there we go, 6 new starter decks, and look, 15 to 20 are good. There are good new cards in those decks. Doflamingo especially has been completely revitalized. I'm slightly trepidatious about the fact that they're saying simple leader effects, because I think they might just be reprinting leaders that are easy to use for new players rather than necessarily the best leaders. But that's something we'll have to worry about nearer to the time. We've not seen the reveal in Japan or the West for these, so right now this is what we know. I've given you a bunch of predictions, and now it's over to you guys to figure out what's going on after that. For now, it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these. Give me your leader predictions. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.